all coagulated here. They've made the agreement. They began mating with the women. They are bearing children that are too large for this realm. They didn't know how to forecast out what would come. They didn't know how the mating process would work, but they knew that they had the ingenuity to fine tune it down to make it work. But they just didn't know exactly how it would come about. So they mated with these women and they created these giants. And the giants began to devour the entire system. It threw the whole ecosystem off. And life became very difficult for the people. Everyone was suffering. No one was happy with the decision. And not only that, but after they bound themselves to mutual imprecations on Mount Hermon, they began to do things to make life easier for themselves in this realm, as you do when you just think of yourself buying a new home. You bought your house, you made the decision, you put the money down, you moved into the house. Now you're beginning to make the house your own. You're going to paint, you're going to put in new cabinets, maybe change the faucet, dig up the backyard, make it concrete, or dig up the concrete, make it grass, whatever you want to do. This is what they began doing. And what Azazel would do, he would spearhead this. And what he would do would be, he would teach the people things, how to make weapons. He would begin to teach the women how to beautify themselves. All the potential that they saw in the women from the beginning that made them want to do such a thing, that made them feel like it was worthy to transgress the word of God, the law of God. All of that potential that they saw, they began communicating that to the women. What we're finding now is hierarchies being established. All of your hierarchical systems were established in this realm because of women. When you have men that feel great about themselves and they are hierarchical in system, Simjaza, he's the leader. He thinks he's greater than Azazel because he outranks Azazel. So, of course, he wants his women to be distinguished higher than the women that Azazel would associate himself with. And so on and so on. So now you have these women being turned. They're now being told how to beautify themselves and taught how to manipulate and how to take what was naturally occurring within them, that thing that caught the fallen one's attention in the beginning. They're learning how to capitalize off of that and barter that. So the most prominent has the most polished woman. And then the more prominent you have, the more of these prominent women you have. Harems. This is where the word harem came from. When you look at the word Hermon, Mount Hermon, the place where they bound, the fallen ones came to earth and made the decision to bind themselves upon mutual imprecations to sin against God, is where you get the word harem. It is the information that these same people that bound themselves by mutual imprecations to sin against God would teach these women, altering their state of being. And in them altering their state of being, the women went from being Adam's soulmate, life partner, to being taught by these fallen ones how to sell and barter aspects that they were to give to Adam freely. And now the women don't see Adam as a appropriate mate, because Adam doesn't have the wisdom of these fallen ones. And he doesn't, and the fallen ones have created somewhat economic systems, and they've been able to enact comforts that in order to partake of, you've got to be part of these economic systems and play into them to partake of. And if Adam doesn't follow suit, he can't associate himself with his Eve as he did before. Because Eve has been turned by the knowledge. And this was the sin. This is what got Azazel cursed. This sin right here is the teaching of wickedness. Not teaching wickedness amongst those that agree with the wickedness. No. You see, when Simjaza created the idea to bind one another on Mount Hermon to mutual imprecations, or he came up with the idea that something like that should happen, and then all of them came up with the idea together to do such, they were all knowing, educated, intelligent people making an educated, intelligent decision. And in doing so, they all will befall the punishment of such. But what Azazel did was took it a step further. He preyed on the innocent and corrupted the innocent with corrupt fruit that would only corrupt them further. And it would turn the whole dynamic of this realm upside down. It will go from a holistic, righteous way of being to a debaucherous, wicked, lustful, manipulative contradiction. All because of Azazel. And what we'll find is God would come and curse everyone.